Yeah, last video we were discussing about the industrialization in the colonies. Now from that we see finer variety of cotton from India dominated in the world trade. Why? Because cotton was very fine over here in India. That is why it dominated the world. A variety of Indian merchants and bankers were involved in this trading business and supply chain. नाउ इंडियन मर्चेंट नेचुरली वो लोग क्यों इन्वॉल्व हुए, क्योंकि यहाँ पर कॉटन बहुत फाइन मिल रहा था. सो ट्रेडिंग वुड बी वेरी गुड एंड द बेनिफिट्स they would get, that was very good from here. That is why by the 1750s this control by the Indian merchants began to break down. The European companies gained power in this domain. They were granted concessions and monopolies. यहाँ पर क्या हो गया, पूरा कंट्रोल जो इंडियन मर्चेंट्स का था वो यूरोपियन कंपनीज दे मेड देम डाउन बिकॉज उन्होंने अपनी ज़्यादा पावरफुल होकर उन्होंने उसको परचेज करा एंड दीज पीपल दे वर नॉट एबल टू डू दैट. एस्टैब्लिश मर्चेंट्स वेंट बैंकरप्ट एंड ओल्ड पोर्ट्स सच एज सूरत एंड हुगली डिक्लाइन. द ग्रॉस वैल्यू ऑफ ट्रेड डिक्लाइन इन सूरत फ्रॉम 16 million rupees to some 3 million rupees. See, that was the loss because of the European companies. There was a shift from old to new ports such as Bombay and Calcutta. While many of the old trading houses collapsed, those that wanted to survive had to now operate within a network shared by European trading companies. Now, these people, Indians, they had to just leave their work and they had to follow the European companies because these people were declining. Indian जो factories थी वो सब decline position में चली गई. Why? Because Europeans उन्होंने पूरा कब्जा कर लिया यहाँ पर आके and they became superior. Life of weavers. How the East India Company asserts a monopoly right to trade. East India Company ने देखो क्या करा. First step, established a direct control over the weavers. इन्होंने direct control कर लिया weavers पे. Appointed a paid servant that was called गोमास्ता to manage the weavers. इन्होंने यहाँ पर गोमास्ता को अपॉइंट कर लिया ताकि वो निगरानी रखे, सुपरविजन करे that anyone is not doing any cheating or something. That is why they kept some person of from their to take see what these people are doing. See, the second thing, they prevented the company weavers from dealing with other buyers, obtained loan to purchase the raw material and had to hand over the cloth they produced to the gomastas. ये सारी चीज़ें उन्होंने कंट्रोल कर ली ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी ने. दे वर नॉट अलाउइंग द पीपल इंडियन पीपल टू बी फ्री. दे जस्ट कुछ ना कुछ उन लोगों ने उन पर हावी होके उनको दबा दिया एक तरह से. एंड वॉट दे वॉन्टेड they were telling them to do. Then the third result, what happened now? Weavers had no time, so they leased out the land. Clashes between weavers and gomastas. Weavers in debt. Prices paid low led to migration of weavers and return to agriculture. Now, कोई जब आप पे हावी हो जाता है, they are not allowing you to be free, then what happens? The people go against them and this thing happened over there in the company. The weavers, they went against the people. गोमास्तास में उन लोगों में झगड़ा हो गया and they said सब लोगों पे कर्जा हो गया. That means what? कर्जा होना. These problems they faced over here. See, price paid low. They were not paid good salary over there. Prices were low over there. So these things had happened over there. So people, the weavers, they started migrating and they opted for agriculture. Again, they started migrating from the factories and they opted for agriculture. Now, Manchester came to India. Now, what does this see? Reasons for the decline of textile export from India, beginning of 19th century. Reason. Imposition of import duties on cotton textile to allow more sale of Manchester goods in Britain. Then, forcing sale of British goods in Indian market. जबरदस्ती वाली चीज़ें हो गई थी यहाँ पर. इम्पोजिशन ऑफ इम्पोर्ट ड्यूटीज लगा दी कॉटन टेक्सटाइल्स पे सो दैट द बेनिफिट विल गो टू द ब्रिटिशर्स नॉट द इंडियंस. ओवर हियर फोर्सिंग द सेल, ब्रिटिशर्स गुड्स वर फोर्स्ड इन इंडियन मार्केट. दे वर नॉट अलाउइंग द पीपल टू परचेज इंडियन गुड्स बट दे फोर्स देम टू परचेज द ब्रिटिश गुड्स. एक्सपोर्ट मार्केट इन इंडिया कोलैप्स्ड. लोकल मार्केट shrank. Machine made British goods were cheaper. They made the goods cheaper, machine made, and so the people, the handicraft things was not sold over there. Indians were not purchasing them. The people who staying in India, they started purchasing the British goods because they were cheaper, and the Indian goods were expensive than them. Lack of availability of good quality cotton cloth, increase in price of raw cotton in India due to greater demand by the Britain. These problems had started arising. By the 1860s, with the American Civil War, cotton supplies from the US were hit and Britain turned to India. Prices of raw cotton shot up. Supplies were low and weaving activities became difficult to sustain. Also, at the end of the 19th century, with the establishment of factories in India, the market was flooded with cheap goods. Above mentioned factors made impossible for the weaver industry to thrive. These were the problems faced by the weaver industries of India because of the East India Company. The people were facing lots and lots of problems. सारी चीज़ें जो ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी की थी वो खरीदी जा रही थी, इंडियन मार्केट को बिल्कुल ही इन्होंने डाउन कर दिया. नाउ कमिंग ऑफ फैक्ट्रीज, इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन इन इंडिया. India, see, early businessmen were who? Dinshaw Pettit, Jamshedji Tata, Sheikh Hukum Chand, G.D. Birla. These were the early businessmen of India. And early industries were cotton mill, Bombay. It was made in 1854. Jute mill at Bengal. That was 1855. Cotton mill, Ahmedabad, 1874. These were the years where the industries were set up in India. Then labor. Neighborship area. Peasants returned during harvest time. People started coming from distant places. Job seekers increased. Jobbers were recruited to provide people to work in factories. Exploitation of workers begins. Here, in industrialization in India, these were the things what the laborers had to face. How these people were being used over here. See, then the second half of the 19th century witnessed the setting up of factories in different regions of the country. The history of industrialization in India can be traced back to the triangle trade between the Britain, India and China. ऐसे एक ट्राइंगल बन गया. पहले ब्रिटिश आ गया, दे स्टार्टेड द इंडस्ट्रीज, बिजनेस वाज स्टार्टेड, देन इंडिया दे फॉर्म द इंडस्ट्री, देन केम चाइना. दिस वे द ट्राइंगल वाज फॉर्म्ड बाय दीज थ्री कंट्रीज. Traders were profited from this trade with China, had visions of developing industries in India. For instance, Dwarkanath Tagore in Bengal earned fortune by engaging in this trade with China and opened 6 joint stock companies in the 1830s and 1840s. Similarly, Dinshaw Pettit and Jamshedji Tata accumulated their initial wealth partly from exports to China. देखो कैसे वो बिजनेस करते थे. How China had started doing business with India and who were the persons who had joined hands with China to start the business. Sheikh Hukum Chand set up the first Indian jute mill in Kolkata in 1817. First jute mill and industrial empires were built in different regions of the subcontinent at this time. With increasing exertion of colonial power, the space between which the Indian merchants operated became limited. They were gradually edged out of the shipping business. Till the First World War, the European merchants industrialists operated their own chambers of commerce with the Indian businessmen were not allowed to join. The Indian businessmen just made the capital investment while all major decisions were taken by European managing agencies such as Andrew Yule. Now see, Indians, they started the industry, but all the work was being operated by whom? Not by the Indians. They were operated by the European managing agencies, such as the person was Andrew Yule. He was operating. He was telling them how to operate. Now, how can a person outsider is telling the Indian person to operate their own countries or this managing their factories and industries? So again, this was unfair. Now see, the industrial growth in India. The European managing agencies operating in India were interested in products that were required for export trades such as indigo, jute, tea and coffee. These were the things where the Britishers were interested, because this was very good in India. The quality of indigo, the quality of jute, tea and coffee were best over here. So they thought of starting business in this field. The Indian businessmen avoided competing with Manchester products. The first decade of the 20th century marked changes in the pattern of industrialization in the country. With the launch of Swadeshi movement, foreign goods were boycotted. From now, the Swadeshi movement had started. This was the nationalism I told you that Gandhiji had started, and he said that we have to boycott the foreign goods. This was the time when it started. The industrial group pressurized the government to increase tariff production and various concessions. With the decline in export of Indian yarn to China, there was a shift from yarn to cloth production. Till the First World War, industrial growth was slow in the country. During the First World War, Britain was occupied with the production targeted to fulfill war. Time needs such as Manchester products dramatically decreased in India. Here Manchester product means सारे जो foreign products वो decline होने लग गए because स्वदेशी movement has started, the people started boycotting the goods. As it is, they were not interested. उन लोगों ने तो सारा Indian market ठप कर दिया था, so the people were very angry with it. And Gandhi ji said that you have to boycott that. You have to bring the Indian goods in forward, not the British goods. So this thing had happened over here. In order to fulfill the domestic and war needs, new factories were set up in India. Workers were made to work for long hours. Industrial production boomed. Manchester could never recapture its position in the Indian market. यहाँ पर क्या हुआ? Workers, देखो, the war needs के लिए the people started getting jobs over there, and the Indian factories, they started appointing the people, they started getting the job, they started working for long hours, है ना. और यहाँ पर क्या हुआ? इसी वजह से industrial production boomed और Manchester जो products थे वो सारे down चले गए, they started declining. Within the colonies, local industrial gradually consolidated with their position and captured the home market. यहाँ पर फिर home market capture हो गया. Small scale industries, most of the regions of the country were marked with the rise in small scale industrial production. Majority of workers were engaged in these small workshops and household units. The handloom cloth production expanded steadily in the 20th century, partly because of technology changes, fly shuttle, and partly because mills could not imitate specialized weavers. Not at all the times did not these household units prosper, but they were in the integral part of the process of industrialization. ये small scale industries means what? The people working in the small units, they are working. They don't need a large amount of money or anything, large amount of areas for the factories. So these people were working together over there. And market for goods. Now market was needed for the goods. In order to sell products, both British and domestic manufacturers tried to persuade the consumers via advertisements. देखो जो भी चीज़ अपन एडवर्टाइजमेंट देके ही परचेज करते हैं. सो हियर दे स्टार्टेड encouraging them. They said that through advertisement it will be easier for the people to know about the products and they will start purchasing it. Role of advertisement for the British products. Manchester Industrial put label on cloth bundles giving details. This made consumers confident about the product they were buying. Labels had images of gods and goddesses which showed that the product had divine approval of the gods. Manufacturers printed calendars and people who could not read could see those advertisements hung at tea shops and offices. देखो, these was the ideas of the advertisements. How they were doing. Bundles थे ना cloth पे, उस पे उन्होंने detail लिख दिया, तो the people they were confident थे कि हम लोग सही चीज़ purchase कर रहे हैं. किसी ने क्या करा? God and goddesses के photos बना के and that they started selling. तो पीपल हु हैव गुड फेथ इन गॉड, उन्होंने क्या बोला कि ये भगवान को अर्पित चीज़ है तो ये अच्छी होगी. सी हाउ द पीपल वो मेकिंग फूल्स ऑफ द innocent people. Then here printed calendars were put in the tea shop and all that. There the people used to see and they started, अरे ये product मिल रहा है, so they started purchasing it. These were the ideas how they started selling the things. Thus we can conclude that though the age of industrialization introduced new technology and established factories, yet processes like hand-laid work and small-scale production continued to exist and rather became a part of the new developments in their own ways. तो यहाँ पर हमने कंक्लूड कैसे किया है कि फैक्ट्रीज थी, इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन थे, पर स्मॉल स्केल इंडस्ट्रीज को एकदम से बंद नहीं करा गया. एंड द पीपल येट दे आर वर्किंग इन द स्मॉल स्केल इंडस्ट्रीज, येट द पीपल आर डूइंग द हैंड वीविंग एंड वीवर्स, दे आर गेटिंग द जॉब्स टिल नाउ. These things are yet going on. So this is the age of industrialization. Thank you.